Assalamualaikum and a very good evening. You're now with me, Shira Abang Mansur, for TVS Nightline. The headlines. Much speculated cabinet reshuffle expected to take place tomorrow. PBB Murum Branch Chief Michael Mujalihan takes oath as senator. Zero tolerance in eradicating illegal foreign workers. The much-speculated cabinet reshuffle could take place tomorrow, December 12. According to several online media outlets, the reshuffle of the unity government could see the return of familiar faces of senior MPs and new faces holding ministerial positions.
Sources said an official announcement will be made before the swearing-in at 3 p.m. and that new ministers will be informed of a rehearsal taking place at Istana Negara on the day itself. The reshuffle comes just a year after the unity government headed by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim took office. Rumours of a cabinet reshuffle went rife following the vacant post of the Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Minister after the demise of Datuk Sri Salahuddin Ayub on July 23rd. Anwar has also previously hinted that a cabinet reshuffle would take place before the end of the year.
Parti Pesaka Bumi Putra Bersatu PBB Murum Branch Chief Michael Mujalihan and Tebrau UMNO Division Chief Dato' Abdul Halim Sulaiman took their oath of office as senators before Dewan Negara President Tan Sri Dr. Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar earlier today. Michael's appointment is effective from December 11th to December 10th and Abdul Halim's November 23rd until November 22nd, 2026.
The appointments are made with the consent of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah. Meanwhile, Wan Junaidi, in his speech before starting the fifth day of the Dewan Negara sitting to debate the Supply Bill 2024, welcomed the intellectual and constructive contributions from the two new senators. He also reminded members of the Dewan Negara to maintain a productive momentum and continue to share debate input and speeches to the mass media, electronic and social media, so that the people can get information and benefit from the debate in the upper house.
The Sarawak State Government will support federal initiatives in technical and vocational education training (TVET) to ensure a highly knowledgeable, skillful, creative and innovative Malaysian human capital. Sarawak Premier Dato' Petinggi Tan Sri Abang Jari Tunopeng said, in this respect, the State Ministry of Education, Innovation and Talent Development (MEITD) had been tasked to collaborate with other agencies to head the technical trainings in the state.
Abang Jari's speech text was read by Minister of Education, Innovation and Talent Development, Dato' Seri Roland Sagahui N, at the closing ceremony of the 3rd World Skills Malaysia Sarawak 2023 on Monday.
A study by INDONESIA in 2014 has estimated that by 2030, more than 1 million new jobs will be created, of which more than 50% or more than 600,000 jobs will be skilled and semi-skilled jobs. Now you can see why we are very enthusiastic about
Abang Johari said Sarawak will establish more technical training centres and at the same time tune the quality of existing programs and courses to suit the requirements of industries in various fields.
At the current rate, we would only be able to produce 500,000 skilled workers by 2030. We need to substantially increase our training capacity. The state will require a threefold increase in TVS enrollment in order to meet the state's and the nation's needs.
Sarawak is the sole Malaysian state organising the skills competition, strongly backed by the Department of Skills Development, JPK. The event aims to acknowledge highly skilled youth and enhance the capabilities of trainees in both public and private TVET institutions. WorldSkills Malaysia Sarawak, an extension of WorldSkills Malaysia and WorldSkills, strives to elevate the status of skilled individuals, emphasizing the pivotal role of skills in driving economic growth and personal success.
Deputy Minister in the Sarawak Premier's Department, Datuk Garawat Gala, has issued a reminder to illegal immigrants and employers to register for the Labour Recalibration Programme RTK 2.0 before the registration deadline on December 31st. He emphasized that following the deadline, the Sarawak Immigration Department will initiate a large-scale enforcement operation to identify and address illegal immigrants working in the state, urging employers and illegal immigrants to take advantage of the grace period. He stressed the importance of registration to avoid potential penalties.
The program, launched on July 26, aims to regularize illegal immigrants in Sarawak as legal foreign workers based on the conditions set by the state government. Immigrants who are allowed to be registered under the RTK 2.0 are those who have committed an offence on or before December 31st, 2022 under Section 6(1)(c) of the Immigration Act 1959-63, Section 15(1)(c) of the Immigration Act 1959-63, and Regulation 39B of the Immigration Regulations 196. Eligible employers for the Labour Recalibration Programme RTK 2.0 include those engaging foreign workers in 3D or dangerous, difficult and dirty sectors such as manufacturing, construction, plantations, agriculture, services, mining, quarrying and foreign domestic work. The registration process is free of deposit fees for employers. Failure to register is subject to penalties under Section 55B(1) of the Immigration Act 1959-63, with fines ranging from 10,000 ringgit to 50,000 ringgit or imprisonment of up to 12 months or both for each illegally employed immigrant. The program is open to illegal immigrants from 16 source countries, including Indonesia, Bangladesh, Thailand, India, and the Philippines.
A 14-year-old teenager was placed on a 6-month good behaviour bond by the Kuching Magistrates Court on Monday for concealing the birth of a newborn girl in Bandar Baru Semariang last November. The decision, which comes into effect from December 11th, was handed by Magistrate Zubaidah Sharkawi after the teenager pleaded guilty to a charge framed under Section 67 of the Criminal Procedure Code.
In addition, the girl was ordered released on 2,000 ringgit bond with her mother as the surety. According to the facts of the case, residents of Lorong Cahaya Damai in Bandar Baru Semariang woke up to a shocking discovery of a newborn girl around 9:45 a.m. on November 29. The residents then alerted the police of the discovery, and the newborn was handed over to the hospital for further action. Police investigation led to the arrest of the girl around 8 p.m. on November 30th in Matang. Further investigation found that the girl had no disciplinary issues and was still attending school. The investigations revealed sufficient evidence for the case to proceed with prosecution against the accused.
Upgrading works of roads in the Tudan residential area is expected to be done by May of next year. Sarawak Transport Minister Datuk Seri Lee Kim Shin said the upgrading works were implemented to facilitate bus services for residents in the area.
This is an area where bus service is very much needed. Most of the people using buses, they are all mostly from Tudan here, most of the B40 group here. And this project is carried out by through the council, the city council, and the tender has been called. The tender for this project is 4.720,700, 4.720 million 700,000, 4,720,700 ringgit. This is a contract, yeah, and it's supposed to be completed on the 20th of May. Next year, 20th of May.
So the project commences on?
Yeah, you're commencing 21st of November.
Okay.
He said this when visiting the project site earlier today. Lee Kim Shin added the project will benefit some 2,000 households.
So with this, almost the whole area here, buses can come in. Yeah.
So it will benefit around more
2,000 household. Yeah. Household. Yeah, and mostly the B40 group, people staying here. Yeah, okay, this is a special project which I requested from our Premier, approved by our Premier, under Project Rakyat. Yeah.
The upgrading project will feature the expansion of the road to 6 kilometers and widen the lane to 6 meters to make way for larger vehicles.
Now, coming up right after the break, Penang Court grants leave to Sabahan woman to challenge conversion to Islam. And in world news, calls renewed for UN Security Council reform after the US vetoes resolution for ceasefire in Gaza. Only on TVS Nightline. Stay tuned.
Esok ada acara.
Welcome back. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah today expressed regret and disappointment over the United States' use of its veto power to reject the United Nations Security Council UNSC draft resolution urging a ceasefire between the Zionist Israeli regime and Palestine. Controller of the Royal Household of Istana Negara, Major General Datuk Zahari Muhammad Arifin said that the use of the veto by the US had thwarted the UNSC's efforts to find a resolution to the conflict, which has so far claimed the lives of over 17,000 Palestinians, with approximately 70% being children and women, while more than 48,000 others have been injured.
In a statement issued, the action seems to legitimize the brutality of the Zionist Israeli regime against the Palestinian people, with the killing of more civilians and the destruction of property, facilities and medical facilities in Gaza. He said His Majesty also expressed support for the government's stance through statements from Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim and Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Zamri Abdul Kadir in protesting and condemning the U.S. action against the resolution calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in the Gaza Strip put forward by the United Arab Emirates. Meanwhile, Al-Sultan Abdullah also urged all Malaysians to continue showing solidarity with the Palestinian people and extend any form of humanitarian aid to alleviate their burden and suffering. Zahari said all mosques and surahs in the country were also encouraged to organize Salat Hajat, or prayer of needs, and Doa Salamat, to pray for the well-being of the people of Palestine. The UNSC, consisting of 15 members, failed to pass the draft resolution to urge a humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza last Friday, after the U.S. used its veto power. 13 members of the Security Council voted in favor of the resolution, while the United Kingdom abstained.
The High Court in Penang has granted leave to a Sabahan to challenge the legality of her conversion to Islam when she was a minor. The 21-year-old had converted to Islam when she was 17 to marry her Muslim boyfriend, but he broke off the relationship a month later. The woman wants the court to declare her conversion certificate dated June 11, 2020 invalid and to revoke her Kad Akuan Masuk Islam issued by the Penang Islamic Religious Council, or MANPP.
In an online hearing earlier today, Justice Kway Chiu Soon granted the woman leave to file a judicial review of MANPP and the state's Muslim Converts Registrar. He also allowed an extension of time, given that she has passed the 3-month time limit to file a review. Kway heard arguments from senior federal counsel about a prior case regarding faith. However, Kway said the previous case was about renunciation of a faith, yet this case involves a dispute concerning the conversion itself. Kway added the review concerns the validity of the conversion certificate. He also dismissed the Attorney General's Chamber's objection, claiming that this was a case for the Sharia court. He then set December 26 for mention and ordered a notice of hearing to be served on all parties.
The government's decision to build Maritime Region Headquarters 4, or Mawila 4, in Bintulu, Sarawak is to safeguard the security and importance of national assets. Defence Minister Dato Seri Muhammad Hassan said Bintulu is a strategic area and is close to the Beting Patinggi Ali, or Luconia Shoals, in the exclusive economic zone EEZ of the South China Sea and the Kasawari gas field area.
Untuk kita beroperasi daripada Bintulu, sebab kita perlu sampai segera. Itu kita punya keutamaan Tan Sri yang diputus. Kita perlu sampai segera. Itu sebabnya markas wilayah 4 Tentera Laut, kapal-kapal kita perlu sampai segera. Tentera udara kita perlu sampai segera. Dan ketumbukan tentera darat kita perlu menjadi sebagai penyokong dan pendukung kepada kedua-dua perkhidmatan tentera laut dan tentera udara ini di daratan, Tan Sri Putu. So, Tan Sri Padmi bukan bermakna tidak menyebut tidak ada apa-apa berita untuk membina pangkalan PUDM di Sabah, itu kami tak mementingkan Sabah. Tidak. Tetapi keutamaan kami pada ketika ini, Tan Sri Putu, di Bintulu, kawasan Beting Patinggi dan juga Kasawari itu.
He was responding to a question by Senator Tan Sri Muhammad Fatmi Che Saleh regarding the government's priority in building Mawila 4 and the importance of building an Air Force base facility in Sabah or the eastern region of the state, such as in Bintulu. Taking into account the importance of the Kasawari gas field and Patinggi Ali Shoal, which contribute to almost 30% of the gross domestic product, Muhammad said the construction of Mawila 4 in Bintulu is a priority. According to him, it is a step to further strengthen control and monitoring of the strategic and high-value areas.
The Ministry of Health MOH is actively conducting engagement and literacy sessions with the Department of Islamic Development Malaysia, JAKIM, regarding the use of pre-exposure prophylaxis or PrEP medication. Deputy Health Minister Dato' Lukanisman Awang Sauni said the engagement sessions aimed at obtaining religious perspectives on the use of medications in efforts to reduce the risk of HIV infection also involve Islamic religious officers at the federal and state levels.
Setakat ini kita sedang mengadakan satu sesi libat urus yang sangat aktif dan juga kita melibatkan personal-personal ataupun pegawai-pegawai daripada Jabatan Agama Islam di peringkat persekutuan dan juga negeri untuk terlibat di dalam aktiviti-aktiviti libat urus dan juga aktiviti literasi berkenaan tentang penggunaan PrEP. Dan juga kita mendapati bahawa adalah keputusan muktamad belum lagi diputuskan. Walaupun demikian kita melihat keperluan untuk pengagihan PrEP ini adalah diperlukan dalam kaedah secara pilot dengan izin. Dan juga kita mendapati bahawa terdapat peningkatan kesedaran berkenaan tentang penggunaan PrEP ini dapat mengubah tingkah laku.
He was replying to a question from Senator Dato' Hussein Awang, who wanted to know the current status of the implementation of the PrEP drug usage pilot project and discussions with JAKIM regarding the use of the medication. Meanwhile, Lukan Isman said a total of 3,041 individuals have received PrEP medication until October 31st, since the pilot project involving 18 health clinics began in January. Of this total, he said 50 individuals were serodiscordant couples consisting of 30 women and 20 men, while 2,947 were at-risk groups, and the remaining 44 individuals did not specify their risk group. There are renewed calls to reform the United Nations Security Council after the United States vetoed the latest resolution for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, in reiterating his call to reform the UN Security Council, stressed that the Israeli government, backed by the full support of the West, was committing atrocities and massacres in Gaza that shame humanity as a whole. He decried the fact that the United States could veto a ceasefire proposal for Gaza despite huge support from other countries.
Birleşmiş Milletler Güvenlik Konseyi'nde 5 daimi üye ve geçici üyeler. Fakat sadece Amerika'nın red oyuyla maalesef malum ateşkes reddedildi. Tek başına. Birleşmiş Milletler Güvenlik Konseyi'nden ise zaten bir umudumuz, beklentimiz kalmadı. Görevi küresel barışı ve istikrarı korumak olan Güvenlik Konseyi 7 Ekim'den bu yana İsrail'i koruma ve kollama konseyine dönüştü.
Representatives of Oman, France and China also condemned the outcome. On Friday, 13 of the 15 members of the Security Council voted in favor of the resolution. The United Kingdom chose to abstain, while the U.S. became the only member to use its veto power to block the resolution.
As long as Hamas clings to its ideology of destruction, any ceasefire is at best temporary and is certainly not peace. And any ceasefire that leaves Hamas in control of Gaza would deny Palestinian civilians the chance to build something better for themselves. For that reason, we do not support this resolution's call for an unsustainable ceasefire that will only plant the seeds for the next war.
At the Doha Forum held in the Qatari capital on Sunday, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres says he will keep trying.
And I reiterated my appeal for a humanitarian ceasefire to be declared. Regrettably, the Security Council failed to do it, but that does not make it less necessary. So, I can promise I will not give up.
Israel resumed its military offensive on the Gaza Strip on December 1st after the end of a week-long humanitarian pause with the Palestinian group Hamas.
Around a dozen ambassadors in the United Nations Council are taking part in a visit to the Rafah border crossing with the Gaza Strip, including the United Kingdom and Russia. However, the United States, which vetoed the Security Council resolution last Friday, did not dispatch a representative along with France. United Arab Emirates envoy Lana Nusayba said the member states taking part in the trip, which arrived on Monday in Egypt, are all coming in their national and personal capacities.
Diplomats are visiting Gaza to gain a deeper understanding of the suffering and resilience of its people. The visit includes briefings from UN agencies, Egyptian authorities, and health officials on the crisis in Gaza. The diplomats will also visit the Rafah crossing, the sole gateway into the enclave, and a hospital in the Egyptian town of El Arish near the Gaza border. The UN estimates that 1.9 million people, half of them children, have been displaced out of Gaza's 2.4 million population due to the war. Israel's extensive bombing campaign has left vast areas in rubble, with a Palestinian death toll of about 18,000 since October 7th. The 65 days of conflict, coupled with a blockade, have led to severe shortages of food, fuel, water, and medicine, worsening the humanitarian crisis in the region.
And wrapping up the Nightline tonight, a clash occurred between boats from the Philippines and China at 2nd Thomas Shoal, where a small group of Filipino troops was stationed on a stranded warship. Both nations blamed each other for the incident. The Philippines Foreign Ministry spokesperson Teresita Daza reported that the country's military chief General Romeo Bronner was on board the Filipino boat involved in the collision.
The Philippine Coast Guard released videos depicting Chinese vessels using water cannons against Philippine boats during two distinct resupply missions on both Saturday and Sunday. Hence, formal diplomatic protests were lodged, and the Chinese ambassador has been summoned in response to the incidents. Meanwhile, Beijing Foreign Ministry has clarified that the moves made by its Coast Guard were professional and restrained, and it also had large stern representation with Manila. Its Coast Guard also accused one of the Philippine supply boats of intentionally hitting its vessel despite multiple stern warnings. China asserts sovereignty over nearly the entire South China Sea, disregarding a ruling from an international tribunal that declared it claims to have no legal foundation. The country deploys vessels to patrol the heavily traversed waterway and has constructed artificial islands, which it has subsequently militarized as a means to bolster its territorial assertions.
And that is all for the updates for TVS Nightline. I'm Shira Abang Mansur. Thank you for watching.